Gramagat Akarhirdik. I want to commend, first of all, the Minister for his move to bring this to the House of the Oireachtas, to Dáil, Defence Forces, Second World War, Amnesty and Immunity Bill. I suppose when thinking about this, the Carherdic, it's important that we all recognise that Ireland is a complex place, and we were told for many generations and many decades after independence that it was a kind of simple place, that everything was black and white, or that everything was green, white and orange, and our identity was quite narrow, and to step outside of that identity was a dangerous place to be. It's only in recent years, I think, for many families in Ireland to look back in their own family history and realise that things weren't always so simple. And as Deputy Nash has already said to the House, and in my own family situation, there's many people in my own family who fought in the British forces and fought in revolutions here in Ireland as well, and related to each other. And I think the context of that time isn't as simple as maybe those times would have suggested. And I think if we're to be serious about the republic in which we live, a republic is not the absence of a monarchy. And that's, I think, what we grew up thinking, or grew up believing in. And maybe that's what the struggle was for in the 20s and earlier than that, the sense that the republic was the absence of a monarchy. But the republic isn't just an absence of a monarchy. The republic is a place where all people are equal. A republic is a place where there's compassion and forgiveness and understanding and respect for people's past, for their allegiances, for what they want for their families, and for what sometimes the economic necessity forced them to do. We're talking here mainly about working class families. We're talking here mainly about men who sought to do something they felt was right. And I think now we have a generosity within our republic to look back on things that happened in the past and to have a different sense of them. Even today we're discussing the issue of symphysiotomy. Previously in this House, only recently we've talked about the Magnan Laundry situation. A kind of a dark and repressive Ireland with a very simplistic view of what was right and what was wrong, of what was Irish and what was not. And I think now my generation, Deputy Nash's generation, and people of our age group have a totally different view of what a republic is, of our value system, of what we want to hand on to the next generation. Not a closed view of Irishness, not a closed view of nationality, not a black and white view of what our country believes in or stands for, and not a green, white and orange view of nationality, because life just isn't as simple as that. This move by you, Minister, means a huge amount to many families. Unfortunately, it's come too late for some men, even Con Murphy, former RAF man who died in Cork only recently. But for people like Peter Mulvaney, a constituent of mine who has campaigned on this for many years, and for people that Deputy Nash has already recognised in the record of this House, this means so much that what they did can be legitimised to a degree, and that this House and this Republic can finally come to terms with our complicated past. And I think if we stand up and recognise our complicated past and realise that things aren't always that simple, then maybe we have a chance to build an Ireland and a republic that everybody can feel a part of. Again, Carherdic, I appreciate the opportunity to speak on this. I think it's something that we need to reflect upon. I think nationality in the past in Ireland has been a divisive thing. I think you had to speak a certain way, look a certain way, dance a certain way, and play a certain game in order to be considered to be Irish, or to speak a certain language. I think we're more generous now, we have a better sense of ourselves, where we are much more self-confident to be able to bring bills like this to this House, to speak on them with generosity and with understanding. So I commend you, Minister, for what you've done. I know this means a huge amount for the families that are involved. They are very excited and very relieved, and they believe finally now they can look back on their own family history and not in any way have to apologise for what their family members did or what they did themselves. Because far too often in the past, and I'll finish on this, we have required, indirectly or directly, people to apologise for their family histories, to pretend that some family members did some things that they didn't do, I mean, there's areas of my own constituency where people are proud of their British Army heritage. And why should they not be? Because for so often we have pretended that Irish people didn't fight in the First World War. And they didn't fight in the Second World War. And for so many years we pretended, for example, that Irish women don't travel across the Irish Sea in order to gain facilities of their health system that aren't available here. We have had colluded in a kind of a silence, a collective silence that makes us believe that Ireland is a simple place. But it's not. It's complicated. We have a complicated history. And I think today we finally have come to terms with part of that the complicated history. I want to commend the Minister for doing that, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak on this.